Welcome to day 2 of the Scion XB lift here. I started this kind of late yesterday afternoon and ran into some, a few pieces that struggled with me. So called it and came back here the next day to finish this off. So where I left off was I was able to get the subframe spacers in here. You got your 2 inches there, and 2 inches there on both sides. It did fight quite a bit to get to get the subframe to drop that much and to get those bolts lined back up. So I actually used a ratchet strap there against the rear axle and then on the lower swing arm here to tension the thing in place so I could get the bolts to align. The last thing you want to do is cross thread those, so got to be really careful. Now, unfortunately though, I'm dealing with the steering rack issue. So 2 inches appears to be too far to drop the subframe without slipping the spline for the steering shaft out. And I can show you quickly in the car here what that means. Grab a flashlight. I've actually taken it apart, but the shaft underneath here, that steering spline right there that should go down into that hole has slipped out. It's not long enough. So I'm gonna have to figure out a couple of options here is to figure out a way to modify the steering shaft, make it longer, which sounds a little bit sketchy given that's your steering shaft. So any mods to it could break and then driving down the highway and you have no steering. Or the other option I'm looking at doing here is, if you look back in there, just throwing some washers underneath the steering rack. So there's 4 bolts holding the steering rack in. And seeing if I can lift the steering rack up about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch. It does eventually, see if we can get some light back in there. I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but the steering rack will eventually hit the lower engine mount if you lift it too high. So, air compressor kicking in. It's a good time to stop.